Hi, my name is Greg Shaw. This is Public Speaking 1101. Instructor Adam Paulson, and this speech is self-introductory speech. Okay, like I said, hello, my name is Greg Shaw. I live in a small community in south central Manitoba. I'm 47 years old and been married 28 years. I have 6 kids, and we just had our 4th grandchild a few months ago. The topic of this speech focuses around 2 suggestions. One, what makes me a unique individual, and the other is what drives my life. I believe these 2 are inseparable. To choose one would be like trying to separate a salt and pepper mixture. I personally think what drives my life is what makes me a unique individual, and my unique individuality is the driving force of my life. Well, being raised on a small acreage in the country, growing up, the youngest of 4 boys, I had the privilege of country life. Open spaces, fresh air, all the animals, from horses to cows, time I could spend with myself or with others around. As a teenager, I was involved in 4-H beef, which instilled in me a sense of pride and responsibility. Looking after the beef from calf to the steer, then showing it and then selling it at market. Having a sense of pride in what I do is definitely a quality that has grown in me. I am very much an all or nothing person. I was a very shy person. My grandparents introduced me to this girl when I was 18 years old. She was so vibrant. She loved life. She had such a love for people. People were drawn to her. I was totally mesmerized by her and married 3 months later. She was my match. At first it seemed like a really odd match, but years later, lots of hindsight, she was the perfect match. That was the exact point in time when I got married, when I was no longer I, but we. Myself was no longer myself, but us. We truly melded into one, separate but yet one. After our youngest was born, my wife and I decided to go to Mexico and live on the beach for a winter. I worked at a facility, an institution for mentally challenged individuals, and I took a parental leave. At that time, dads could take parental leave and get 3 months off with pay. So we thought, well, let's go live on the beach. So we decided to escape the Manitoba winters. And the only thing I had to do was a commitment to return in 4 months. So I had my restarting date and we took off. We packed up all the kids, took off to Mexico, about 6 hours south of San Diego. We went to an orphanage to volunteer before hitting the beach. During that time, I went out on a garbage run from the orphanage. And being the romantic individual that I am, I invited my wife to come. Driving into the landfill in Mexico was no different than driving into one here, and that's where the similarities ended. We drove in, people came running from all over. Little kids with no shoes, teenagers, mums and dads, grandmas and grandpas, all racing to grab the garbage which we were going to throw out, to be the first ones to rip through and go through with them looking for food or something they could salvage. Not only were the bags ripped open, but so was my heart. In that few minutes there, something in my heart turned. I went back to the orphanage, called my boss, faxed my resignation, and we stayed 5 years. For 5 years, we served the people of Mexico, the Oaxacan Indians to be exact. My heart was broken for the norm. I took a volunteer position there building houses for people who had slept in the dirt, never having a roof over their heads, never having a pillow. My life was beginning to make sense. I was created to make a difference. Working with people from all over the world, challenging them to try unfamiliar, helping people, this is it. To reach out and meet their neighbors, to volunteer, this is it. It all made sense. One day I'd returned back to Manitoba and I was working with one of the nurses, and she said to me, "Do you not think you're doing your kids an injustice? Homeschooling them? You're living in poverty in a third world country? They're going to become nothing." The lights came on. My response to her was, if myself or my kids had got our PhD or became the big important CEO of a company, and we're walking down the street and there was someone lying in a gutter, and we walked past that person or stepped over them, to me, that's where the injustice would be. But if they stopped, bent down, talked to that person, helped them up, took them for a coffee, to me, that's the most important. That's better than any letter behind their name. So what makes me a unique individual and drives my life? I believe is taking the time for each individual person and making a difference to them. Thank you.